Well, hello everyone. This is the Paris Procopis, and it's the Paris Procopis Show. Welcome to a special anniversary edition of the Paris Procopis Show. I am your humble little host, Paris Procopis. And of course, everybody knows me to be humble and shy and quiet and, well, okay, maybe not. Well, anyway, thanks for joining me. Those of you who are joining me, I know this is a late night show, so I really decided to do this kind of improv tonight. Zero preparation. We'll see how it goes. I'm making no promises. Be sure to chime in, make some comments. I'd love to know you're here and everything. Thank you, Ed, for the comment. Finally, 10:20 p.m. It's the 10:20 p.m. late night Paris Procopis show. Act now, get a free Paris Procopis Chia Pet. Well, anyway, the thing that spurred my show on tonight, there's a couple things. But first of all, I wanted to talk about our anniversary. It's a very special day today. Our anniversary, a year ago today, Joe Biden became the president of the United States. Well, unless, of course, you're following the plan. And if you're still following the plan, then President Trump is still president, and John F. Kennedy Jr. is about ready to announce that he's running for president. Oh, wait, that date is already passed, just like everything else the QAnon has said. I'm telling you, the whole QAnon thing is a Democrat Party psyop. I'm telling you, that's what it is. But at any rate, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about President Joe Biden. Yes, he's president. I don't like it any more than you guys did. And we were all right about him. It's been a complete disaster. And just like the woman who backed into the fan. Disaster. Okay, bad joke. That's my one and only Paris Procopis dad joke of the night. But sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments. I appreciate you guys chiming in. But I mean, it's been one snafu after another. I mean, all these people that were just anti-Trump, all these never-Trumpers that allowed this to happen. And yes, the fact of the matter is, yeah, there is a potential they gamed the system. The other side gamed the system, doing everything they could to get mail-in ballots, and mail-in ballots have been proven to be filled with fraud, or proven to be unprotected from fraud. Even Jimmy Carter, the sainted Democrat president, who kind of ruined things back from 1976 to 1980, or 1977 to 1980. One-ish. But, I mean, things are so bad right now that even Jimmy Carter looks competent. And it's a joke. And it's almost sad because I'm looking at Joe Biden and looking at, and the poor guy is in... The poor guy is, how do you say it? He's in dotage. I mean, the man is suffering from dementia. There is absolutely no question about it. Sorry, my chair was being weird. There's no question about it. He's suffering from dementia. It's sad. His family should be taking care of him. Instead, he's playing president, and his advisors are doing everything. And of course, we all know about well, not everybody knows about it, but it's there. There's a battle right now between the ultra-left Kamala Harris wing and her people and Joe Biden's wing. You know, publicly they're saying, oh yeah, absolutely, we'll be running mates again and everything like that. But it's gotten so bad that the Democrats are due to have a shellacking come November. And I know the Democrats are already prepared to declare the 22 elections illegitimate, because they wouldn't have lost if they had gotten their election reforms passed, they had their rules to negate voter ID. For some reason, they still think voter ID is racist. Just proving who you are. I don't want someone showing up at the polls and saying they're Paris Procopis and they vote for me. That's the type of thing I did. But anyway, we have the disaster in Afghanistan. There's just so many things. COVID is through the roof, depending on how you count the numbers. But managing it is horrible. And now you even have the CDC announcing that they basically declared cloth masks useless. And now everybody's backpedaling. But now everything's got to be N95. But of course, the city of Milwaukee mandated masks, but they're still mandating the cloth masks after the CDC declared them useless. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in that topic because we know how useless it absolutely is. And yes, I'm such a night owl. Who would have thunk it? Ha, get it? Who? Okay, I'm here all week, folks. I can't help it. So, Joe Biden is a failure as president. And they're going to say, well, he's a failure because the Republicans stood in the way and wouldn't pass Build Back Better. What? Throwing us deeper into debt, getting rid of the filibuster so they could stack elections so that only Democrats will win, statehood for Puerto Rico, statehood for Washington, D.C., two very Democrat areas. And guess what happens with each state? Each state gets 2 senators. So now you suddenly have a 4-senator majority in the Senate because of the statehood. Because they're basically changing the rules because they're not getting what they want. Typical of Democrats, right? And let's be honest, some Republican politicians have done that in the past as well. They're changing the rules. Like in the state of Wisconsin, the Republicans are in charge of the Assembly and the Senate. They control the legislature. The governor controls the governor's mansion, or he's a Democrat, controls the governor's mansion. They're redrawing districts. Oh, we need fair maps. We need fair maps. There was no talk about fair maps in 2010 when the maps were mostly overwhelmingly Democrat. Whoop, sorry, I just dropped something. Pardon me. But the maps were overwhelmingly favoring the Democrats back in 2010, and the Republicans managed to find a way to win. So if the Democrats want control, stop bitching about it and find a way to win. People don't want to buy your stuff. That's basically what it is. So you have the Democrats wanting fair maps in Wisconsin because the Republicans have a huge say-so in the legislative process, and also there's a conservative majority on the Supreme Court, sort of. Brian Hagedorn can go either way. He's kind of our own Justice Roberts. Like I've mentioned before, there's 1 or 2 of his rulings that I actually agreed with. I could understand his logic, but most of the time I think he's wrong on some of the issues. Be that as it may. The likelihood is there's going to be very little change in Wisconsin's legislative maps, which means the Republicans are going to have a majority in the Assembly, or likely to have a majority in the Assembly and the state Senate. So they're doing that. But then at the same time, so this is them changing the rules. But then you turn things around and let's look federally. Around the country, states like New York, states like California, states like let's say New York and California. They're big states. They're finding ways to redraw districts so that they literally eliminated, I think it's 5 or 6 Republican districts have been eliminated. So instead of maybe Trump plus 1, they are now Biden plus 17 or something like that. And they're taking other Biden districts to make those. So they're gerrymandering. Good or bad, we may not like it as Republicans or conservatives or that type of thing, but they control those states. They, to the spoils, or to the victor goes the spoils. They've controlled those states, so they have the ability to gerrymander those maps. It is what it is. That's just the way things work. Election cycles went. Luckily, the Republicans have some kind of hold here in Wisconsin. We'll see where it all shakes out, but once again, it doesn't look like things are going to change. Hagedorn's already hinted at it, so I don't see it. But anyway, that's kind of our happy anniversary. The Democrats still want to change the rules. Biden's going to declare the 2022 elections null and void or declare them illegitimate because there were questions of voter suppression. Asking you for an ID is voter suppression. But if that same person who's being suppressed to vote, is that same person suppressed when they want to get in an airplane and have to show an ID? Oh, wait, but not everybody has to show an ID. Guess who doesn't have to show an ID? Illegal aliens. They don't have to show an ID. Did you know that? You have them getting released throughout the country on airplanes, and you know what acceptable form of ID to the TSA is? Arrest warrants. I kid you not. Look it up. I think it was the Daily Caller. You can present an arrest warrant or an arrest record or something as your ID to get on a flight. This is Biden's America. This is what we have. We have empty store shelves because supply issues. Vaccine mandates are causing this. And I've been on the record. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not, I'm interpreting the data saying, okay, there's a lot of misinformation on both sides happening there. Now, I think that you should be free to decide. So it's interesting how pro-choice the Democrats are when they want to kill a baby, but now suddenly they're not pro-choice when, whatever stuff you're putting in your body. I have no issue with people taking the vaccine. I have no issue with people not taking the vaccine. It's your decision. It's medical freedom. That's what it is. And there's also some sort of freedom. There needs to be medical discourse too, where people, okay, this doctor interprets the data this way, this doctor interprets the data this way. Yeah, my body, my choice. That's right, Mimi, perfect. But you have this dichotomy of opinions, and they should be allowed to hash things out, and eventually they're going to come up with a plan that's more palatable. Might not be perfect, but there's something. You need to have that discourse. And let's try treatment options like ivermectin. Oh, I said the I word. I hope I don't get this video banned. But there's also, the monoclonal antibodies or whatever they call them. All these different treatment programs. And now even Pfizer has released a pill that's oddly like ivermectin. But of course, because President Trump said ivermectin is showing progress or promise, and suddenly it's evil. Same thing with HCl, hydroxychloroquine. President Trump says it's showing promise, and suddenly hydroxychloroquine is poison. Even though people have been taking hydroxychloroquine since, the 1940s maybe? For its anti-malarial drug. And some people take it for rheumatoid arthritis and other things. But anyway, neither here nor there. So we need to allow the discourse. So I get all that. But that's Biden's America right now. 1 year into his presidency. And we still have another 3 years of this nonsense. Unless, of course, he steps down because he's too old. But it's not going to get any better with Kamala. In fact, it's going to get a lot worse if she's still vice president at that point. I'm still under the mind. I'm not into conspiracy theories, but I know there's some infighting, and I know someone in Congress who has made, someone in the House of Representatives who works in the House of Representatives. I won't say who they are, who has specifically said that congressmen have been told to brush up on their legal, constitutional history because there's going to be a confirmation hearing in the House of Representatives soon. And people are like, wait, aren't all these offices confirmed in the Senate? Yes, except for one seat, and that's the vice president. So there's two options. One, Kamala's gone and she resigns in shame. There's going to be some sort of scandal that's uncovered for her. And someone else gets nominated to be president, someone more mainstream, because everybody hates Kamala, even the Democrats hate Kamala. And someone a little more mainstream, whoever it be, I would say Klobuchar is probably the most logical choice. She has a little more, she has some appeal on both ends. She's not as extreme as the AOC wing, but she's not as, she's kind of middle of the road as far as Democrats go. Okay? No, she's not. She's still liberal. Don't get me wrong. But I see someone like that. And then suddenly Joe Biden, I'm too sick. I'm too old. I'm going to resign. Thank you. This has been the best opportunity in my life. I can't finish my term. Okay. So he's gone, and that's the only way to do it. I don't see him stepping down before Kamala is out. And once again, there's going to be a scandal on Kamala. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet, but her poll numbers are worse than Biden's. Excuse me. Now, let's make a pivot on to Wisconsin and the dreaded 2022 governor's race, which is in Wisconsin. This is going to be huge because the balance of the Senate could hinge on Wisconsin as well, because Ron Johnson is up for re-election and he is running for re-election. I hope the coattail effects work really well in both directions. So official candidates that we have so far are Rebecca Kleefisch, Jonathan Wickman, unofficially Jack Nicholson. Yeah, it wouldn't be. I can't believe it. No, it's not Jack Nicholson. Kevin Nicholson. Sorry about that, Kevin. My apologies. I know all these candidates. I know Becky. I know Kevin. I know Wickman. There's a potential for Eric Hovde. Excuse me 1 second. I've got to pause the show for a second. I'll be right back. My apologies. This is a live show. And part of doing a live show, especially when you do an improvisation show like I'm doing tonight, is sometimes you forget bits and pieces. And one of the bits and pieces I forgot is my computer. I forgot to plug it in. And it's giving me a warning that I have a low battery. So there we go. Now we're back. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Technology Live Show. And like I said, this is completely improvised tonight. So anyway, back to this. So we have the Wisconsin governor's race. We got Rebecca Kleefisch, Kevin Nicholson, not Jack Nicholson. Here's Johnny running for governor. No, okay, so it's Rebecca Kleefisch, Kevin Nicholson. And then we have the potential for, well, he's not, then we have Jonathan Wickman. We have the potential for Eric Hovde, and actually the potential for Kevin Nicholson, though I think he's pretty much running. Don't know for a fact. And those are the ones that are well known enough. There's a couple other outliers that may get some traction. I don't know. And then we have a whole bunch of lieutenant governor candidates running as well. There's Patrick Teston. There's, of course, David King, Cindy Warner, and forgive me, there's a whole bunch of other vocal. There's a few other candidates that are running for lieutenant governor. On the lieutenant governor side, I think I'm going to support David King because I've known the man for a long time, and I just think we need someone with some fire in the belly, and he's got the fire in the belly. But once again, all this is going to hinge on who is at the top of the ticket. So I wanted to talk about that for a little while. We've got a very dangerous situation right now. And not a single candidate has earned my vote at this point of the officially announced. And the unofficially announced, I like Eric Hovde. I like Kevin Nicholson. And the problem is there's flaws or concerns. Although I think probably out of all of those, the one I have the least concern with is Eric Hovde, because he's not a perpetual candidate. He's a businessman. There's some of that. Some people are concerned of the Madison Republican, so maybe he's not as conservative, but I think he is. I supported his campaign for Senate a long time ago for the most of the campaign. But back to Rebecca Kleefisch. Okay, Rebecca Kleefisch, first of all, Jonathan Wickman has been out there saying, Robin, I totally disagree. She does not fake being pro-life. She is a very strong believer in her religion, and that won't allow her to be anything other than pro-life. Sorry, I completely disagree with that. But some people are saying that she's establishment. Yes, the establishment is pushing Becky because it's Becky's turn. And what that's doing, it's turning people off. Today we had Robin Voss basically saying, Kevin Nicholson, don't run. Like, who are you, Robin Voss? I've known you a long time. You're a nice enough guy in person. Know your wife. She's great. She's beautiful too, but lucky guy. I'll give you devil his due. But they okay, I completely lost. Okay, I'm getting distracted here. Yeah, I'm thinking, good night, Mimi. Yeah, send it to me, Robin, but I know the head of Pro-Life Wisconsin, and, well, he thinks everybody's not pro-life enough. Good or bad, it is what it is, but I know for a fact that Becky is pro-life. That's not every one of these candidates is pro-life. Wash your hands of it. But anyway, pro-life, okay, so Becky is kind of the chosen one, but Jonathan Wickman was running around calling her an establishment candidate. Like I said, yes, the establishment is kind of following her, but Becky took on the establishment and won. She was not the chosen one in 2010. She was the outlier. She was the outsider and won in spite of that. Walker could not stand her. He did not want her. So, and during the recall, it was to each his own. Walker was fighting for Walker. Becky was fighting for Becky. So yeah, no, she's not establishment. Okay. And and the thing that sparked my wanting to do a show tonight is the fact that I was having a conversation with a very, very good friend of mine, and we had a friendly discussion, and we disagreed with each other on she's very pro Becky and Tyler. I get it. Becky was part of the recall movement. We all stood behind her. She stood with us. Always thanked me for a big rally that we were involved with, and she never forgot those things. And I get that, and I like that about her. I have some personal issues with, and these aren't insurmountable issues. These are issues that I have that she has to address. So everybody knows Rebecca is Becky. Sorry, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So I'm going to call her Becky. My show, I can call her what I want. So, my rubs against her is she did nothing to support President Trump last year. And last year, the most important thing was President Trump. She needed to get out there. She alone could have rallied 30,000 votes. She has that much notoriety in the state. I think she could have rallied a lot of people to vote for Trump. Because look what's happening right now. We're living through Joe Biden because a lot of people didn't come out and vote for Donald Trump. Oh, he sends mean tweets. Oh my gosh. And people are going to say, yeah, the other side cheated, blah, blah, blah. You know what? In the end, we just have to show up in enough numbers to offset that. And so I didn't like that. I also don't like the Republican Party dictating whose turn it is. Because everybody in the Republican Party, the establishment Republican Party, is backing Becky now because it's her turn. No, she has to earn my vote. She has to earn everybody's vote. And I'm not saying she can't. And don't get me wrong, any one of these candidates I would support wholeheartedly if they won the primary. I'm in the tank for any one of them because I will not support any of the Democrats, Evers or anyone else that would run. So there's Becky. So I have concerns with that. And then there is another concern. She was an anchor woman in broadcasting and lieutenant governor. She did some things for the business climate, so she did help with that. But there were things, she talks about her record with Scott Walker, and Walker's got a good record, but it's not perfect. I'd call his record about a C+. We could have been an A+, but it was a C+, and that's part of the reason he lost a lot of support in 2018. Yes, Evers stacked the deck with marijuana and all that stuff, but I have a feeling that Scott Walker would have lost anyway. It's just what I think. So much so that I told him not to run. He was offended by that. He said, Tommy Thompson won 3 terms. I said, well, Tommy Thompson was more popular. He was a 50-50 governor at best, and when you are at 50-50, the Democrats can win and are likely to win in Wisconsin. So there's that. And under Scott Walker, and Becky was part of this team, so she owns it as well. Let's put it this way. We did nothing to address Common Core in Wisconsin. And we had control of the legislature, the Supreme Court, and the governor. And we're fighting critical race theory today because they did nothing to address Common Core back then because, quote, too controversial. Yes, Scott Walker was at fault for this, but let's be real. She's part of that team. So that's a concern for me. She needs to address that. She's starting to say the right things on a couple issues. So, and I'm not doing this because I am not endorsing anyone tonight. Thank you for joining in, Robin. We'll have to have a longer discussion about that. But yeah, I agree. And Scott, she's saying that Becky was MIA. Well, Scott Walker was MIA too, and that was part of the problem. He was spending more time in Washington because he got popular and he got too big for his britches and forgot about Wisconsin, and that turned a lot of people off, and that's why he lost. No, it wasn't marijuana. He lost. And they had a horrible campaign management team. So, Jonathan Wickman. Jonathan Wickman, nice guy. I've met him. Jonathan Wickman is busting his ass. I'll give him credit where credit is due. He's out there working it. He's at every event. He's not as MIA as Becky has been in the past. But my problem with Jonathan Wickman is, well, first of all, I do have some concern with experience, but that's also a good thing too, because he hasn't been around to develop any bad habits. So there is a pro and a con to that. But then there's also, I mean, the pot referendum, Dan, I agree. The pot referendum was an impact on there, but the fact is Walker turned off a lot of Republicans, and a lot of Republicans didn't show up. So they thought Evers would be better. Stupid, I agree, but in the end, we always have to show up in enough numbers. We could have picked up another 30,000 votes. So anyway, Jonathan Wickman. My biggest issue with him is the fact that he was a staunch supporter of the Tony Evers recall last year. Remember when I said Becky did nothing to support Trump? Well, Wickman seemed to support Trump. He supported a recall effort that took attention away from Trump, that took resources away from Trump. People were busy collecting recall signatures when they didn't focus on Trump. And once again, we're living with the byproduct of that, because what it did was allowed Tony Evers to immediately start raising money. Because in state law in Wisconsin, if you're recalled, you have no limits on fundraising to defend yourself. Evers raised that money, put a ton of money in his coffers, but also used a ton of money for things like Democracy in the Park and stuff like that. Pardon me. What the heck? You're telling me to shut up? Our statement. He did not. Nope. I disagree, Robin. The recall effort was failed from the beginning. Should have never been done, because it gave Tony Evers the resources to help beat Trump. Trump lost Wisconsin largely because of the recall. And there's the facts to back it up. So, yeah, supporting the recall was wrong. Absolutely. We can disagree with it. People say, and if you wanted to do a recall, there was no reason why the recall couldn't wait till January. We needed to make sure that Trump was in office before anything else. Nothing else mattered at the time. But of course, everybody's got their own agenda. People say, people can do more than one thing at one time. No, they can't. The Wisconsin electorate has proven that. They can only focus on one thing at a time. When we focused on the recall of Walker, guess what? We won. We would have won Wisconsin had we focused on Trump, and we didn't do it. And we're living with the byproduct of it. So, and let's be honest, recalls don't work. What would have happened if Tony Evers won the recall? And he would have won the recall, absolutely. Way too many people didn't support it. I wouldn't have supported it. I would have not have voted in that election. Elections have consequences. We need to beat him at the polls. Recalling him when he didn't commit a crime was irresponsible. So all it did was create this huge list, which I still have a question on. This list disappeared. They were gathering all these signatures all across the state, and they said they had the signatures, and now the list has disappeared. Oh, we didn't have enough signatures or whatever. But yeah, no, the recall was absolutely the wrong thing to do at the wrong time. I'm not saying that it couldn't have been tried later. I'm just saying it was tried at the wrong time. We needed to focus on Trump. So that's my opinion, my show. I can say what I want. So I'll talk to Stephanie Larson too. Just wait till this year. Someone says 2020. Stephanie's saying 2020 is the most stressful election year of my life. Well, just wait. It's more is coming. So anyway, so that's Jonathan Wickman. Once again, if he wins the nomination or if he wins the primary, I'll support him. He's a nice guy. He's got a nice wife. I think he's got kids too. I haven't met his kids. So, whatever. He's right on a lot of issues. Once again, if I agree with you 80% of the time, you're my ally, not my enemy. Kevin Nicholson. Kevin Nicholson, love his business background. Love the fact that since he lost election in 2018, it kind of humbled him a little bit. And I think he needed that. He needed to learn a little humility, which is a good thing. And he went around the state and worked around the state. He's been nonstop out there getting attention to critical race theory and politics in the schools and all that stuff. So I think it's a good thing. Robin, you can't watch the show. Misinformation. Prove to me why I'm wrong. I would love to see it. You can send articles. I'll share them. So feel free to send them. I'm curious to see the sources of the articles. But yes, there are other opinions. Not just yours. Wow. Fascinating. But at any rate, so Kevin, his big Achilles heel right now is the fact that, well, he originally ran for Senate, and now he was kind of holding off to see what Johnson would do, and Johnson was taking his sweet time, I think in a lot of ways to snuff Kevin Nicholson out. I don't think he likes Kevin Nicholson. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's between them. Kevin it's like he wants to run for something. That's the opinion out there. That's what I'm hearing. I think that could be a liability. Well, I wanted to run for Senate, or I wanted to run for governor. I'll run for whatever's available. I think it has a bad optic. Once again, I think he'd be a great governor. He needs to overcome that. I think the fact that he's been working so hard will help. But I also think there's still a lot of people from 2018 that are butthurt because he ran against Leah. It was Leah's turn or whatever. I've supported Leah, and I would have supported either one of them if they won the primary. I did not support Kevin. I like his backstory. I love the fact that he was a Democrat that became a Republican. After all, that's what we're doing this for. We want people to see the light. In the end, I think he's going to struggle. So once again, we've got some good candidates with some flaws. Then there's Eric Hovde. Eric Hovde ran for Senate back in 2012. He was a nobody, unknown name, except in Madison circles. He's a very wealthy hedge fund manager. And he has his businesses out there, owns properties and everything else. He has several businesses and doing very well for himself. And he has a foundation as well, a nonprofit foundation. And he was a good candidate. Unfortunately, he had a bad campaign manager who did some missteps, disappointingly. But that being said, Eric Hovde almost beat Tommy Thompson, the biggest name in politics in Wisconsin for a long time. Tommy Thompson ended up winning the primary, and Eric Hovde went back to his life. So that was 2012. It is now 2022. So it was 10 years ago. He's not a perpetual candidate. That's also another liability for Kevin Nicholson. Well, he ran 2 years ago. Now he's running again. People have concerns with that. So it's okay, Robin. You haven't seen anyone's yard signs but Jonathan Wickman's, because Jonathan's been running for 2 years everybody else is officially running now, and the primary is in August, so 7.5 months. It's going to be a while. You're going to see signs for everybody, and in the end, it's going to be, the money talks. Who can raise the money? Who can get and I'm not shilling for Becky. I'm not shilling for Nicholson. I'm not shilling for Wickman or anybody. I'm not, I'm just calling them like I see them. And it's one thing you will always know where you stand with me. So there is that. Yeah, Miles, Kristen, I was going to get to that too. There's also, I was talking about Eric Hovde. And Eric Hovde is a businessman, and I think he's got a lot of insight into running companies, so I think he'd be a great governor as well. And I think he's probably got a lot more business experience than Kevin Nicholson would have. So I think there's a lot of that. And kind of interesting tidbit about Kevin Nicholson and Becky is the Uihleins. Dick Uihlein and his wife, forgive me, I don't remember your name. So his wife donated $200,000 to a pro-Becky PAC. And of course, Dick Uihlein is supporting Kevin. So I wouldn't want to be in that bedroom right now. Interesting, but I'm glad. But I hope they'll both support whoever the victor is. That's the problem. My big disappointment with the Uihleins, they've got a lot of money and they can spend their money any way they see fit. It's their money. But when their candidate, Kevin Nicholson, lost the primary in 2018, they did not help Leah Vukmir at all. They probably did a little bit, but I don't know. They didn't do enough to help. They really needed to help her because Leah spent all her money, unfortunately, trying to beat Nicholson. So there is all that. So anyway, and now to what Miles Kristen said. Tommy Thompson for governor. I love the guy. Tommy Thompson is a great guy. I know him personally. We converse on email. I see him at other things. We talk all the time when I see him there. Even got a great picture of him choking me. It was great. I think he's doing this just to have some fun with people. Yeah, I would love someone with Tommy Thompson's energy, because none of the candidates have that type of energy and excitement behind them. And my concern right now, as things stack up right now, Tony Evers is going to win re-election. It's his election to lose. I'm being honest. Even throughout all of this, yeah, they're blaming Joe Biden for a lot of things. Some people blame Trump for a lot of things. Nobody is blaming Tony Evers for anything except for conservatives. That is a big concern for me. And the ramifications are national, because we could end up losing Ron Johnson as senator. He needs a strong governor candidate to help, and vice versa. This is a symbiotic relationship. Hating Tony Evers is not enough to win. We need to give people something to vote for. Yeah, Jay Schroeder says the Evers lockdowns. I get that. The lockdowns happened, but that was also ages ago in the scheme of things. Now, if we were still under lockdown, that'd be a different story. I don't think Tony Evers is stupid enough. I could be wrong. I don't think he's stupid enough to have lockdowns again. If he does, it'll be to his own detriment. He will lose badly. Tony Evers and Dr. Kevorkian have never been seen together at the same time. Now that's funny. Yeah, Jack Kevorkian. Someone gave me a coupon for that once. Here's a coupon for Dr. Jack Kevorkian. It's good for one visit. So, But we need to call Evers out on his record. We need to champion. We need to make the case of what the state will be like. Remind them there were successes under Scott Walker. I'm not denying it. And no, I'm not saying Act 10 is a success. Act 10 could have been a success. Unfortunately, it was supposed to help offset the cost of, or the cuts that were coming. Well, the cuts happened for 1 year, and then the second biennial budget, we started increasing school spending and increased school spending every biennium thereafter. Before Scott Walker left, we were already at spending levels for public schools where we were before he started. And then, of course, the Republicans hand $500 billion right out of the gates to Tony Evers because they want the teachers to like them. Their teachers are never going to like you. Yes, I'm talking to you, Robin Voss. So those are the things I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I've got concerns. I'm not excited. I had one candidate that I really wanted to run. My top tier candidate would have been Rachel Duffy. I've been saying that for a year and a half. Rachel Duffy is the candidate that could bring everybody together. Sean Duffy could have done some of that, but I think Rachel Duffy would excite everybody. And it's not too late, Rachel Duffy. I know your daughter's my Facebook friend. Maybe she can say something. Sadly, I think she's making way too much money at Fox News, so would never leave that cushy job. But I think she would be the power player that everybody else would have to get out of the race for. I think she's the one. It's kind of like years ago. We remember we had a whole slate of Senate candidates, and then out of nowhere, here comes Ron Johnson. Out of nowhere. And the Tea Party gave birth to him, and I think and I think Ron Johnson's going to be wait a minute, what's happening? That's weird. I hope I'm still live. Oh, weird. I don't know. I hope it's still live. Let me know if I'm still live. Okay, I'm still on. Good. I'm getting some sort of alert that I'm temporarily blocked on Facebook. I hope I'm not. So we shall see. At any rate, this is where we're at. And there are other important races. Yes, I know Jay Schrader's running for Secretary of State. He is not the only candidate. There's a state assembly woman who's running as well. Jay is the one who's running to bring back Secretary of State to what it used to be, to what it's supposed to be, having impact on elections and that type of thing. So there's that. There's there's a Treasury Secretary or whatever it is, whatever they're calling it, State Treasurer. That's what it is. There's a couple candidates there. There's another young lady that's running. There's Orlando Owens that's running, and some folks there as well. So we've got other races as well, but everything's going to hinge on the governor's race. And then there's the attorney general's race. That's a whole show in and of itself. Governor's important, but I think even more important is attorney general. That is the most important thing. That's literally the only thing that saved us when Doyle was governor, is we had a Republican attorney general, J.B. Van Hollen. He was not the best, but at least there was a little bit of backing there. So Eric Toney is running. There's a new candidate that just got in. Starts with a J. It's escaping me right now, but He's a former, he's not a prosecutor though, so it's going to be interesting. There was a UW professor that was in, Ryan Owens, who's quit. Um, you know, he was getting all the Madison money and all the statewide money. Adam Jarko. Okay, so Adam Jarko is also running. I don't know anything about them. I know our former attorney general. I kind of wish he could run again. I liked what he was doing about prescription drugs and opioids and stuff like that. So that was a big, big issue near and dear to my heart. I won't talk about that right now, but just family in there. But anyway, guys, we got a long way to go here till August. Had some pushback, but somebody, yeah. My fear in all of this with the governor's race, especially. I mean, there's no question about it. Solid conservative support for Ron Johnson, unequivocally. My concern is after the primary for governor, there's going to be a lot of you that are going to sit it out. And I'm actually referring to you, John Wickman supporters. If John Wickman does not win the primary, there's going to be a lot of butt hurt, and you guys aren't going to vote for governor. I can see it right now, and I saw it tonight. You know, Jonathan Wickman is, Ronald Reagan reincarnated. Yes, the guy's got some great qualities. He's a nice guy. I have issues with the recall. It's my own personal issues, and if he wins, I'm going to have to get over it. But right now, I can't support him because of that. Doesn't mean he can't earn my vote. It's a long time between now and August, but it's going to take time. And then there's Robin Vos. Yes, Jay. Interesting that there was a very large-scale article about something Robin Vos did. Robin Vos is flexing his muscles, his political muscles, and it's really pissing me off. And it's not productive. He's thinking he's helping Becky, but he's really not. He's hurting Becky. What's happening is, whether Becky is establishment or not, he's creating the establishment brand on her because he's sticking his nose in where it doesn't belong. The voters decide who will win the primary. The voters. So yes, if it's Kevin Nicholson, if it's Eric Hovde, if it's Jonathan Wickman, you're going to have to deal with it, Robin Vos. You should be sticking your nose in and trying to influence the fact. Yes, Becky's got great qualities, and I actually think she'd be a great governor. But she's got to get there. And right now, she's got the Scott Walker albatross around her neck. And there are many things that were not accomplished under the Walker umbrella that she was part of. And quite frankly, she's got a lot of campaign staff that are leftovers from 2018 when they got blindsided out of the blue. So, I don't know. It just, you guys need to make a commitment that no matter who wins the primary, that you support whoever it is that wins. We cannot allow Tony Evers to continue as governor. And right now, if Tony Evers continues as governor, it's not good. I mean, quite honestly, because we can't necessarily depend on the Republican-controlled Assembly and Senate right now. They're not fighting for us as much as they should be. There's a few in there. Janelle Branchen's doing a great job of investigating the election shenanigans that were going on. Um, and I don't know. It just, we need more people fighting it because Robin Voss is against her. Oh, that's last year. Biden won. Yeah, we get it. Biden won. But there were things that happened in this election cycle that are uncalled for. There's a lot of things that even the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty did not investigate. Their report was strongly lacking. You know, the Zuckerbugs, the Dropboxes, and stuff like that. Now, the Dropboxes have been effectively nullified. So, of course, oh, they're trying to disenfranchise voters. Bullcrap. Get your butts to the polls. But we can't. It's dangerous because COVID. Well, you believe in masks. Wear your mask. It'll protect you. Yep. There's an article in Wisconsin right now that is talking about Rantham staff. Robin Voss took away staff members to get back at people from other assemblymen. It's uncalled for. It's not productive. It's hurting Republicans because what's going to happen is people are not going to, if Becky ends up being the primary winner, she's not going to be supported. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to stay home, or they'll vote for Ron Johnson and not bother voting for governor. It's going to backfire. Robin Voss, get your nose out of everybody's business. And I think, honestly, we need to start having term limits on leadership in the Assembly and the State Senate. 2 terms and then move on. That's just my thought. So another quick note, I did write an article in Wisconsin right now about a week ago, basically talking about looking out for the wolf in sheep's clothing. We've got a lot of, around the state, we've got a lot of municipal elections, city council, and not just city council, school boards and all that. Very important. Local races are important. Look for the signs if you're voting for a liberal. You don't know because they come under your door. Oh, it's nice. They're so nice. But what happens, if you ask a conservative what they believe, they're going to say, oh, I'm a conservative. I'm a staunch conservative. I'm not necessarily a Republican, but I'm a conservative. They embrace it. But you ask a liberal, they're not going to say I'm a liberal. They're going to say stuff like, oh, this is a nonpartisan race. I'm nonpartisan. Oh yeah, no, I'm just running because I want to make a difference. Nonpartisan, nonpartisan, nonpartisan. We've seen this. Read my article. Wisconsin right now, just look it up in, I think it's called Voices, the Voices sections where they let other people have it. So, oh yes, I'm a centrist. That's another buzzword. Everyone who I know that's a centrist, 99 times out of 100 votes for Democrats. That's like me saying I'm a centrist because I voted for David Clark for sheriff. So let's be real. So anyway, folks, I am out of here. I'm going to get going. I'm glad I ruffled some feathers, but hey, it's politics. Get some thick skin. It is what it is. Good luck out there. Stay warm, and more shows coming as we speak. I will talk to you soon. Have an awesome, awesome, awesome night. Bye.